Hey, shalom YouTube. Hey guys, it's Fletch. Welcome back to OTH. And as you can tell, it's a little dark outside still. Daylight savings time just kicked in. And so even though it is just a little after 6 a.m. as I'm recording this, it's still pretty much pitch black outside. I'm looking at myself in the range viewer, field viewer, whatever. And you know, as the oncoming cars are coming, you can kind of see my face every now and then. But anyways, so you know, just explaining why the dark background. But anyways, so the title of the video today is the win-win dichotomy. And here's what I mean by that. You guys have probably heard me talk about the fact that once upon a time, you know, the company, the corporation that I work for, spent a lot of money sending me to a lot of really good business type schools so that I could then go back and teach that information to the dealer base that I had. And one of those classes that I went to was a negotiating class. And if I remember right, it was CARUS, the CARUS negotiating seminar, which I highly recommend. It's a very good seminar, very good class. A little on the spendy side, but very good. And one of the major principles of that class, that effective negotiating seminar, is that if you are calling something a win-win scenario, but both sides are giving up something that is hurting them, that truly is not a win-win scenario. And so the whole auspice of the class was that in order for it to truly be a win-win scenario, you must learn to think outside the box. Get out of your comfort zone, get out of the way that you've always done business, and you know, learn other ways that you can make it work. And so some of the examples in the class were, you know, like you know, if you're like a buying agent, right, and you need, you know, 2,000 pounds of you know, PTE, you know, plastic pellets basically that are used for injection molding, something like that. And you know, if you're buying them on, you know, net 30, net 60 days, whatever, and you know, you're trying to negotiate price and you're paying too much for them, and you know, the provider, the manufacturer of the pellets, is selling them too cheap that they're hurting, you know, why are you doing business that way? Neither one of you should be doing business that way, right? You should, you know, find ways that you can both give something to other people but not hurt yourself. And it reminds me, that whole idea, that concept reminds me of our whole Second Amendment issues that we have going on right now, right? That, you know, we need to be willing to compromise, we need to be willing to give up something. And you know, it's just the opposite. We don't need to be giving up anything, and anyone that is suggesting that we need to be willing to give up something is a fool. And you know, the prime example of that is in the UK right now. Believe it or not, they are having rallies to collect knives. Because the media does such a good job of getting, you know, the general public, the sheep, whatever you want to call it, to fixate on the issue rather than what the root cause of the issue is. So as an example, in the UK right now, guns are outlawed, right? Well, so now because guns are outlawed, knife crimes have skyrocketed because people have no way to defend themselves other than knives. Well, so now, you know, part of that, where they're prosecuting people for gun or for knife crimes, is people defending themselves with knives. So I saw a picture the other day from a rally, and it said, you know, stop knives, save lives. And you know, I'm sorry guys, but it just cracks me up when you hear people talking about these things and saying these things, because you know, it's the hearts of evil men that are committing these atrocities. And you know, it doesn't matter whether you know, you're mailing bombs like we've seen recently, or knives, or driving a truck, or you know, whatever your means of delivery of the violence that you're perpetuating on the public at large is, you know, you've got something wrong with you, so to speak, if you think that is an okay or a justifiable means or measure of getting your message across. Which also brings me back to a topic that, if you've been listening to my channel for any length of time, that I've talked about quite a bit recently, and that is Salinsky's rules for radicals. And understand, guys, that these people that run in these circles, right, like these whack jobs bombed the Pentagon. And some of you younger people out there, you may not realize this, you know, part of the weather underground, you know, these communists, and you know, they're trying to overthrow the government, and they actually bombed the Pentagon. Well, guys, socialism, this socialism they're trying to push through, that they've taught all of the kids in high school, that they've taught all of the kids in college. That's why they're so easily manipulated right now, because they have bought into this communism light way of thinking, hook, line, and sinker. But they don't understand that most of them, truthfully, are just the useful idiots that they talk about in their books. And if you are a millennial and you grew up during this culture and you believe those things, I'm sorry, but you need to take a long, hard look at what you believe, why you believe it, and who taught you that, and decide for yourself whether or not you are actually making a change, or whether you are a useful idiot. And I'm sorry, but if you are a member of a school, and the administration of your school is forcing you to participate in this march for gun control, you are a pawn. You are a useful idiot, and you need to wake up and say, no, I will not participate in this. Our rights do not come from the government. Our rights do not come from the Constitution. Our rights are guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America and the republic in which we live, or at least we did at one time. The government does not give those to us. Therefore, it is not theirs to take. And that is why they keep trying to cram socialism down our throats. That is why they have done such a good job of training your children to be good socialists, because the only real difference between socialism and communism is when you wake up and you realize that in the socialism paradigm, that some people really are more equal than others. And when you realize that, and you realize that they're not doing their fair share, and they're just leeching off everyone else, when you realize that, it's too late. You've already disarmed yourself, and they now enforce that socialism by the barrel of a rifle, and it now becomes full-blown communism. Everything else is in place. Wake up. All right, folks, and just expanding a little bit more on the whole rules for radicals concept, I think that a lot of times those of us who come from a more conservative background tend to have more of, for lack of a better term, moral code. And there are certain things that, because that is our belief system, that we are not going to do. And what we all need to understand and start training other people to understand is that they don't agree to play by our rules. By hook or crook, right? By any means necessary. They are justified in doing what they are doing because of the greater good. And you know, I look at these kids and they're wearing like these Che Guevara t-shirts, and guys, oh, it's so sickeningly disgusting when you know the true story of Che Guevara and the things that he did. It's like, yeah, he brought revolution. Yep, he sure did. And you know what? When he got to power, he ruled the way that he got to power. And he rounded up all the gays and lesbians and he killed them. And anyone that opposed him, he killed them. Wake up. Oh my gosh. Whenever I see, you know, someone wearing one of those Che Guevara t-shirts, I've often wanted to just walk up to them and try to engage them in a rational dialogue. But honestly, I don't think that would happen for two reasons. One, because I don't think that most of those folks really want a rational dialogue, number one. And number two, I'm not sure that I wouldn't become impassioned, you know, trying to explain to them, you know, just how silly they're being by, you know, wearing, you know, a t-shirt that is glorifying a mass murderer and, you know, the the genocide that he brought about once he came to power. And yeah, there's kids today, I'm sorry to say, but it's just the truth. They are useful idiots. They have been taught to be good socialists, you know, to play their part in the game and, you know, toe the line. You know, if someone breaks into your house and they want to, you know, rape your wife, oh well, right? Well, but that's what you're saying when you refuse to protect yourself and you refuse to protect your wife. Or, you know, if you're a single woman, just yourself, whatever the case may be, that somehow you are more virtuous by not having a dangerous gun in your house. That somehow you are more virtuous by allowing yourself to become a victim. As for me and my house, no thank you. Also, something I found ironic, perhaps, and I know that in the society that we're in today, that people are probably way too quick to, you know, call other people, you know, Hitler, you know, different things like that, or make comparisons. However, that being said, I do think it's funny that the liberal left, the media, complicit with them, is doing a very good job right now of using children to get their message across. Who else did that? I wonder. Who else manipulated the public at large by using children to get their message across? Huh. Guys, that is marketing 101. That's called the emotional plea. It's not something new. History is cyclical. It just repeats itself. It's packaged in a different way. It's disseminated in a different way, but it's still the same concepts. It's still being given the same way. And understand that even throughout history, The mass genocides that have happened have all happened because of the government. Understand that, the government. Whoever the dictator, i.e. the government was at the time, disarmed everyone and then had their way with them. Or, even worse yet, the populace at large allowed themselves to be disarmed in the name of the greater good, and then, you know, 5-6 years later, some other dictator came to power, and because the populace was unarmed, he was able to have his way with the populace at large. Folks, understand, these are what our forefathers knew and understood. Read the Federalist Papers, read the Anti-Federalist Papers. We don't have to guess about what they were thinking when they wrote these documents. We know exactly what they were thinking. A win-win is not a win if both sides, or even one side for that matter, is giving up something that is hurting them. If you think this message was beneficial, please share it with others. Please like it, share it with others, subscribe. Thanks for listening today. I hope you're having a wonderful day, folks. Shalom.